Very special guest, Christine Douglas Wiliams. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to try to be brief with the introductions because I also have to introduce Dr. Carl Goldberg and Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Christine Douglas Wiliams is a 9-time international award-winning journalist and television producer. She's conducted over 1,700 live interviews. She is a federally appointed director with the Canadian Race Relations Foundation and a former appointee to the Office of Religious Freedom in Foreign Affairs. Now, we're here about her brand new book, The Challenge of Modernizing Islam. Reformers Speak Out and the Obstacles They Face. And I have one of those reformers on the line also, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. How are you today, Dr. Jasser?
Good. It's great to be with you, Bill, again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it has been too long since you've been on this show. Dr. Jasser has served for 11 years as a medical officer, achieving the rank of lieutenant commander in the United States Navy. He is the founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, which started after 9/11 to provide an American Muslim voice advocating for the preservation of the founding principles of the United States Constitution, liberty and freedom through the separation of mosque and state. Okay, and Dr. Carl Goldberg.
I'm here, thank you.
Yes, you are a PhD in history, but you've been studying and lecturing on Islam for quite a while. And I know you've had some conversations, shall we say, with Dr. Jasser in the past. So,
yes, we certainly have.
Yes, and I wanted to invite Dr. Jasser because he is the first interview here by Christine Douglas Wiliams, and I thought it was only fair to allow him to be on the show. Okay, Dr. Goldberg, I'm going to let you start off. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is to Christine. I want to thank you very much for writing this book. It's a controversial book, and it's about an aspect of Islam which is also very controversial. And the topic of Islam itself is perhaps the most controversial topic in the world. And so I think it's extremely important that we talk about this. As I see it, your book has two thrusts. First of all, you expose what you call Islamism, including the crypto-moderates. And then, by the way, thank you for that useful distinction between crypto-moderates and sincere moderates. And then this essentially is talking about the civilization jihad led by the Muslim Brotherhood primarily. That's the first thrust. The second thrust, you seem to be supporting the so-called would-be reformers. And that's the part that is controversial, and that's what we would like to talk about here. To start the ball rolling, I would suggest that we clarify what we actually mean by the major term here, not Islamism, which you do a very good job of clarifying what Islamism is, but it's not quite clear what Islam is. And I think we need to discuss that in order to continue this discussion and to evaluate what these would-be reformers are trying to do and whether it's even feasible.
Okay, and I'm going to refer to Christine Douglas Wiliams as Christine, just for brevity, if that's okay. And then after Christine, you answer Dr. Goldberg's question, I'm going to let Dr. Jasser respond. Go ahead, please.
I'm going to answer this particular question very briefly because the lion's share of the show is going to fall on me when it comes to my analysis of the whole issue as well as the content of the book, which includes some very fine, real moderates and also reformers. When one talks about the whole notion of reform or even of modernizing Islam, first of all, I want to make one thing clear that I think captures, in essence, the question that was just brought to the table. I decided to use the word last minute, modernizing Islam, because I found, speaking of controversy, that the word reforming Islam did end up striking the most intense emotions as to what you mean by reform. On one end, are you talking about reform because the real reform within Islam means back to the 7th century puritanical form of Islam that is, according to the detractors, is established by Muhammad? Or are you referring to the other direction, which I have had to defend, meaning Islam in the 21st century? In essence, and I will get into it deeper, of course, I stand by Muslims have every right under the UN Declaration of Human Rights to worship as they see fit. The central focus of every reformer and moderate is separation of mosque and state, depoliticizing Islam, and worshiping personally on par with every single Westerner, which is in keeping with democracy.
Well,
I stand by that right, and that they deserve to have that right, and it should be supported.
Well, let me jump in here. Well, the right cannot conflict with the law in the United States, such as against stoning of adulterers, against amputation of the hands of thieves and things like that. But I just wanted to clarify that. And
the right is depoliticizing it and doing it within the keeping of the democratic Constitution.
Okay, Dr. Jasser, go ahead, please.
Yeah, and I think, this discussion is so important, and thank you, Christine, for the work and the interviews that you had. I'd recommend everyone to read it and learn about the various points. I think when it comes to Islam, it depends on who's Islam, and Islam is a faith of 1.6 billion people. There's no doubt that there is a establishment of the Islamic faith today, which is normative Islam, which is pathological. It is theocratic, as the Islam of Pakistan's Republic, Iranian Republic, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Saudis, etc. So the normative Islam of today is dominated by theocrats. And I think modernizing Islam is a perfect construct to use, because we still, understanding where Islam is in its history and its trajectory, just as the West went through a defeat of theocracy, Islam is still pre-defeat of theocracy. In order to modernize it, there are interpretations of Islam out there that I think can be postmodern or modernized and reject theocracy. And I think that's the battle. Are we a minority as far as the power, the money, the leadership, the resources? Absolutely. Do we have the capability of teaching our children a version of Islam that keeps true to what we believe to be a moderate or a 21st century version of what was the message to the Prophet? Yes, I believe so. That's the Islam that I feel to be compatible with America's principles and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I think if we don't give Muslims that space, whether it's, yes, we're on the 1 yard line on the opposite side of the field headed towards those goalposts that we put up as our declaration of the Muslim Reform Movement, but if you don't give us room to be on that field, then what are we doing? We're basically saying that we have to create a new religion, which doesn't make any sense.
Let me just ask this one question, because this has always bothered me. It seems like very, very many Muslims are illiterate, and they basically go to the mosque and they're taught by their imams or other religious leaders this jihad type of Islam. How can you get around the fact that these people are illiterate? How do you even get to them?
That's to me, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a great question. 50% are illiterate, and even those who are educated in vocations and don't have a liberal education of humanities and et cetera, which is so key. So this is why I think even though there's only 4 million Muslims in America, we have the keys globally to be able to, having come from an education of liberal arts and humanities and philosophy and existential thought, if you will, we have a unique responsibility globally to push back against the theocrats that exploit huge populations of Muslims that are misogynistic and anti-Semitic because they are uneducated when it comes to Western Enlightenment thinking. So I think that the way to get around it is to use our resources here in America, the platforms in academia, in government, and Hollywood and elsewhere, to begin to push forth ideas that we can embrace as Muslims that teach our communities to embrace the equality of egalitarian thought and start using music and Hollywood and other types of memes and social media to begin to do cultural change. People think you can only fix Islam by doing it from the pulpit. That's part of it, but I think ultimately you need a revolution of thought culturally first, and that can happen, I think, beginning in America.
Okay, we are coming up on the next break, and Christine, why don't you take about a minute to respond, then I'm going to get to Dr. Goldberg after the break.
I'm absolutely thrilled listening to Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. I'll tell you, I interviewed him in 2010. That's when the project first started. I ditched it for a few years because I realized, this is a complex project, particularly after interviewing the other moderate/reformists. But I'm listening to him now, and his tune has not changed at all during that time. His tune has been one of authenticity. He talks about normative Islam being Islamism, and this is a problem within the Islamist ranks and also with the general establishment. there are words out there. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of peace. There is a problem. If there was not a problem, we would not be dealing with the issues of human rights abuses that we see globally. We would not be dealing with unindicted co-conspirators on our soil. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser has been foremost out there trying to promote a different vision of Islam that is in keeping with human rights and democracy. And this is actually the beginning of what I'd like to continue with after the break.
Okay, thank you very much. We are coming up on the break. Dr. Jasser, if you can stay with us, I'll let you, have a comment during the second segment, but I've got to give Dr. Goldberg a chance to respond. You're listening to Middle East Radio Forum here on 960 The Patriot. My name is William Wolf, your host here today, usually every other Sunday. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for using the services of my advertisers. That is the lifeblood of this show. This is a brokered show, which means I buy the time from the station. I have to pay for it each and every week. The only way I'm able to do that is because I have these wonderful advertisers. And each time you use their services, please tell them you're doing so because they advertise on this program. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. There are a lot of great Mexican restaurants in Phoenix, but I am very particular. When I want the best Mexican lunch or dinner, I head straight to Mi Patio on the southeast corner of 7th Avenue in Osborne. They serve all your favorite dishes and only use pure vegetable oil in their cooking. Mi Patio is sure to become your favorite Mexican restaurant, too. That's Mi Patio Mexican Restaurant on the southeast corner of 7th Avenue in Osborne. Tell them that William Wolf sent you there. Watermark Wealth Strategies and Watermark Wealth Planning Offices at 6900 East Camelback in the Camelback Towers has been a loyal sponsor of this program since its start. They specialize in wealth retention, estate, and legacy planning. Watermark has been a leader in the Valley, and its members have been together for over 17 years. Founding partner Carmen Cercone has over 36 years of experience in tax, investment, and estate planning issues affecting retirees and their assets. They offer comprehensive planning that has helped assist families through the process of identifying client objectives and concerns and constructing a strategic plan to address tax, risk, and legacy issues. Consultations are complimentary, and we encourage you to contact Allison Porter at 480-442-3989 to schedule. Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA/SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Kestra Advisory Services, LLC, an affiliate of Kestra Investment Services. Watermark Wealth Strategies, LLC is not affiliated with Kestra Investment Services or Kestra Advisory Services. Siegel's Kosher Restaurant and Market is your go-to kosher place for groceries or a great sit-down restaurant. Featuring kebabs and all your other favorite dishes, it is simply the best kosher dining experience in Arizona. On the west side of 7th Street, just south of Camelback, or call them at 602-285-1515. That's Siegel's Kosher on the west side of 7th Street, just south of Camelback, 602-285-1515. Continuum Advanced Healthcare is your go-to office for auto and work accidents with personal injury care on a lien, which means no out-of-pocket cost. They wait to be paid until your claim is resolved. They have medical, physical therapy, chiropractic, surgical, and anesthesia services on staff ready to serve your injury needs. Truly your one-stop shop. Independent medical evaluations are also available, and medications are dispensed on a lien. Again, no out-of-pocket cost. Also, a 24-hour turnaround on medical records requests. They have two offices for your convenience, 3710 West Greenway Road and 6544 West Thomas Road, both in Phoenix. So if you are injured, you know who to call. Continuum, 602-993-0231. That's 602-993-0231. That's Continuum Advanced Healthcare.
You're listening to the Middle East Radio Forum on 960 The Patriot. To join in the conversation, call anytime at 602-508-0960. That's 602-508-0960. Outside of the Valley, call toll-free 888-960-9696. Questions are also welcome at radioforum@aol.com. That's radioforum@aol.com. Now back to your host, Attorney William J. Wolf.
Welcome back to today's edition of Middle East Radio Forum. My name is William Wolf. I have on the telephone Dr. Carl Goldberg. Christine Douglas Wiliams regarding her terrific new book, The Challenge of Modernizing Islam. I advise everybody who's interested in the Middle East or Islam to get a copy. It's very, very enlightening. And also I have Dr. Zuhdi Jasser on the line. And as I said, I'm going to let Carl Goldberg respond, and then I'll give Zuhdi one more shot at it. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, thank you. There's a great deal of confusion in this question, and to my mind, the confusion arises because we have not defined what Islam is. That's a fundamental concept, and what is being done here by so-called modernizers is to confuse Islam, the belief system, with the practice of Islam, in other words, the behavior of Muslims. And what I hear from Dr. Jasser and Christine is that we're trying to change modernizing the behavior of Muslims, which is a very different question from modernizing the belief system based on the Quran and Muhammad. Let me refer for a moment to a passage from Christine's book from Shireen Firdowsi, who seems to be about the only one who lays it on the line here. She understands this basic conflict. And she says that if the Quran, that is, if this book came from God and it's divine and perfect, then the jihadis are justified. Well, this is totally opposite of what Dr. Jasser says, who never criticizes the Quran, who still believes that the Quran is divine. And that, of course, conflicts completely with what Shireen Firdowsi has said. And this gets to the heart of the matter. Sure, Muslims have a right to practice Islam the way they want, but only in non-Muslim countries. And we need to remember that, because Islamic law will prohibit them from practicing Islam the way they want to practice. So let's let Christine go.
Okay, I'll give Dr. Jasser, as I said, one more opportunity to respond, then we've got to move on. Go ahead, Dr. Jasser.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is what this big debate is what is and what is not Islam. It's amazing to me how folks like Carl have preconceived notions about what they perceive to be Islam, and they look for whatever anybody says in order to justify those preconceived notions. And for the Wahhabis, the literalist, Islam is fossilized, and Shireen's talking about their interpretations of that. I have never said that the Quran could not be criticized as far as its interpretation. The Arabic of the Quran, as a Muslim, I believe, is fixed. It's an exact recitation to the Prophet. Now, what those passages in Arabic and classical interpretations mean, you and I have debated many times, Carl. So to say that I, on the one hand, believe in the authenticity of the Arabic script is one thing. On the other hand, to say whether those passages can be separated from history versus religion, to say that they don't apply anymore, to say that some are nasikh or have been abrogated from the past to the future, all those things are debates that can happen between the literalists or the Wahhabis versus the reformers. And I think that's the ultimate debate. But to repackage what somebody says into a preconceived notion, I think arrests the debate and allows the Islam of the Wahhabis to become the dominant Islam, and thus modernists really have no chance.
Okay, I'm going to have to end it now. And Dr. Jasser and Dr. Goldberg, I'm going to have you guys on as a separate show. I don't want to take any more time from my very special guest here, Christine Douglas Wiliams. Dr. Jasser, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go, but I will invite you back for a whole show.